name is Ronak and you're watching Vecto Art. In today's video, we'll learn how to create customized buttons and animate them using storyboards in WPF. So without any further ado, let's get started. So let's start first by creating a new project. Select WPF app with .NET Framework and click on Next. Fill out the project properties and click on Create. Also, if you haven't subscribed to my channel, please do subscribe to my channel. It means a lot. So let's give this project a name. Let's name it as buttons. Also, you can download the source code from GitHub. The link is in the description. So we have our window loaded. So let's select the window and go to properties and check the allow transparency checkbox to get rid of the borders. Not necessary that you do the same. I'm just demonstrating the button in this UI. I'm just doing it for the look and feel. Okay, so that's done. Now I will select the window. The grid is selected, so let's select the window and go to background and remove the background. Now select the grid and double click on the rectangle, which will populate a rectangle on the grid. Now let's change the border radius or the corner radius of the rectangle, and you have a rounded rectangle. Now let's change the fill to blue and also get rid of the stroke. That's done. Now let's use the pen tool and draw a path. So let's start by adding the anchor points. The first anchor point, the second one, and after adding the second one, let's move on to the third. And when you are adding the third, do not release the mouse, drag it so that you get a rounded arc on the edge, and once you are happy with it, you just release the mouse and start with the fourth point, anchor point, and do the same with the fifth anchor point. Add the anchor point and drag the mouse, and then finally add the sixth one, and let's close the path by joining it with the first one. Now we have a closed path. Now let's fill this path with a color. Before that, I am using the select tool to adjust the anchor points. I am adjusting the anchor points using the arrow keys on the keyboard. Now I will fill the path with the color white. So that's done. Now next, some minor adjustments to the anchor points. Okay, so that's done. Let's do the same on the other side. Okay, now let's move on to adding the buttons. So first let's add a button, a regular button, and I will show you how to customize it. So okay, so let's select the button and draw a button on the path. So once you're done, you can edit the template and edit a copy. Click on OK and get rid of the content presenter for the button. Now select the button border, and if you go to properties, you can change the corner radius for the border. So I'll change it to maybe 30. Let's change it to 30 and see how the button looks. I want it to be an ellipse, so that's the reason I'm changing the radius. Okay, so that's done. Now a couple of properties we have to change. Let's take a look at the border or the content template in the XAML file. Let's see if we can change some other properties as well. I want it to be the same color as the path, so I think we can simply go to the a border brush and remove the binding. So right click on that and convert to a local value so that you can override the value, and do the same for the background. So that's done. Also, if you go to the XAML file document, you will see there are a lot of setters and properties written, so we'll have to change them. For example, properties like mouse over, pressed, selected, all those properties will have to change. So before that, let's add a image on the button template and set the width and height to 24 points. I have downloaded icons from icons8.com. The link to that is also in the description. So I have downloaded them already. I'll just select them and click on OK. So once that is done, I will position them in the button. That's done. So now the last thing that is left is to get rid of all the properties that will highlight the button. I don't want any highlights on the button. If you want, you can retain them. So I will scroll up in the XAML file, and if you look at the top, we have these brushes, which are actually the brushes which are used to set the styles. So all the styles or the solid color brushes, I will change the color to white so that it does not so that we do not see any change when we hover over the button or do any event trigger. So I'll change everything to white. If you see, if you look closely, you have highlighted colors, you have pressed, mouse over, background brushes, border brushes, disabled brushes. So all these colors you can set custom to your choosing, but I am choosing it to be white. Okay, so I am done doing it. There are two more properties to change. Yeah, so that's done. uh, okay, yeah, so I think we can go back to the window now. So click on the icon there and we are back to the window. Now I am making a copy of the existing button template that we made. So I will use the alt key on the keyboard. I will hold on to the alt key and drag using the mouse. Okay, so we have another button, but if I directly change the image for this button, since the template will be same, it will reflect all the three buttons, which I don't want. So I will again right click on each button and edit a copy, edit template and edit a copy, and not edit a current. I'm going to edit a copy so that it creates a different template for each button. So now I'll go to the image and select a different image this time, and I'll do the same for the last button, edit a template and again edit a copy. So it creates different styles for each button. Now we are done with this. Let's run the application and you will see that when I hover over the buttons, it will not highlight. Trying to build the first time. Yeah, so it's done. Background color is itself not white. Okay, so next let's copy and paste the icon button in the center and change its icon by going to edit template and editing a copy, and go to the image and change the image to a different icon. Now this I want, when I animate the screen, I want the last button to be visible with the multiply icon. Okay, right now, for now I'll hide it. I will hide the last button that I've added. and this will be the start position for the animation. Now next we'll need 3 more buttons which will pop up when we click on the plus icon. Before that, I think the path that we added, we'll have to remove it because we do not have a curved anchor point in the added path. So I'm just using the pen tool to remove the anchor points by clicking on the anchor points using the pen tool. So I'll remove them by clicking on them, and I'll start fresh. Okay, so I'll delete that path that I created and I'll start fresh by adding a new path on the grid. Okay, so let's start with the first anchor point, the second anchor point, and at this time I will not leave the mouse button and drag the anchor point so that I have a curved line. So I have added the first anchor point. Now I am adding the second point, and this time I will not leave the mouse button and I will drag it so that I have a curved line. Then I'll click on the anchor point again so that it does not continue, and now I'll add the third anchor point, and the rest I have already explained. So I'll do that, and yeah, so that's done. And the final anchor point. So I have the path again, and now this time I will go to the fill and change the fill to white. I will move the path on top below the first rectangle so that all the buttons appear on top, and I will adjust the arc that I have, because at the start position I need it to be horizontal or straight. That's done. Now it's time to add a storyboard. So I will add a storyboard now, and I will add an anchor point for all the elements on the screen. So this is an empty anchor keyframe, and on the 0.5 keyframe I will change the path's arc angle to so that it looks curved. So this is the animation that I want, so I will change the arc position, and once I'm done with that, let's change the buttons also to look a bit skewed and moving towards the center. So I am changing the position of the buttons to move to the center, and I have to move the last button as well. Okay, so if I run the animation now, before that I also have to hide the plus button and show the multiply button on the last keyframe. So I will go to the visibility and change it to hidden, and I will change the last button from hidden to visible. So now if I run the animation, you will see that it is skewing to the center, but the animation is a bit slow, so I have to change the keyframes to 0.2 or 0.3. So if I run the animation now, so this looks much better. So this is the last position of the animation. So I want to continue from here for the second animation that I'm going to create. So before that, let's add a trigger so that we can trigger this animation on a button click. So which is that button? That button will be the plus button. So before that, let's take a note of the last position of this animation. So now we are selecting the plus button and going to triggers and changing the window to button 2 and the event to click, and let's save this and run the application. So when you run the application, you will see that on click of the plus button the animation is triggered. So this is the last position of the animation. Now we have to start from here for the second animation. So let's add one more storyboard. Let's add one more storyboard, and let's add one more storyboard and click on OK. And let's start by changing the path for the first keyframe. So once you change the path, it will automatically add a keyframe on the first point or the 0th keyframe. Now also change the button positions on the first keyframe, and also for the second button, and change the button for plus button to hidden, and the multiply button to visible. So this was the last position of our animation 1. Now we have to start from there, and now we have to end it to the first position. So that meaning we have to change the arc to a straight line, and we have to change the button positions for home and settings back to the original. So we have to move them to the left, and the settings button to the right, and hide the multiply button and make the plus button visible. So this is the again the start position. So if you run this, so it has reverted back to the original state in the second animation. Now we have to select the multiply button and add a trigger to trigger the second storyboard. So when you run this application now, we have the start animation and the end animation according to the button clicks for the buttons trigger we have added. So we are done with this animation. Now we have to add 3 more buttons which will pop up on click of the plus button, and which will revert back to the original state, meaning the buttons will go back in the hidden state when we click on the multiply button. So I am copying the plus button here. I will move them up. I will edit the template and edit a copy, and this time I will change the border background to white so that it is visible, and change the icon to a different icon. Okay, so that's done. So let's move this up. Before that, let's go back to the window and move this added button up. Okay, so let's start moving this, and we need 2 more buttons. We need 2 more buttons. Okay, let's position it on the top, and now let's make a copy of that button that we have added. Okay, let's edit its template. Go to image properties and change the icon. Let's make one more copy of that button. Okay, and change the icon by going to the template and editing a copy. The same process that we followed for all the buttons that we have added. So let's go to image and change the image. So this is the final button that we are going to add, and we are done. Now let's position the buttons, uh, the left and the right button slightly down the center button that we have. Okay, yeah, so I think this looks good. Now all we have to do is add these three buttons to the animation. So the starting position for these buttons will be hidden inside under the path, white path that we have, or the white panel we can call it. And let's change them to hidden, and also let's move the buttons to the top of the other buttons and above the path, so that they are behind the white panel that we have. And also change the visibility to visible. Before I had made it to hidden, which is not required since it is behind the path now. And now if you go back to the storyboard, we can add keyframes for all the three, empty keyframes for all the three at the start, and on the last keyframe these three buttons should appear outside the white panel. So select all the three and move them to the top, and if you run the animation, you'll see that they are popping out of the white panel. Now you can go to the second storyboard, and in the second storyboard all you have to do is uh, change the three buttons position so that they go back behind the white panel. So before that, on the first keyframe we have to start from the end keyframe of the first animation. So this will be the starting position for the buttons, and on the last keyframe they have to go back behind the white path that we have added. So meaning it will be hidden when you click on the close button. So that's it guys, hope you all liked watching this video. If you do, please do subscribe to my channel, it means a lot. And you can also go to the description, check out the source code, download it and customize it according to your needs. Thank you guys, bye.